Hello, YouTube. Ranting a new thing on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and really all of them. And so I'm going to rant about life, about relationships, about people, and me not taking my own advice. Because here's the reality: relationships require a lot and very little. And I suck at relationships. You probably suck at relationships. Most people suck at relationships. And there are reasons for that. And the difficult part is that we don't see the other side. We see our side, and we like our side, and we feel justified on our side. Completely justified, because that's what we tell people. Well, I was right. Or, well, it was only this. It shouldn't have been a big deal. But the reality is that it is a big deal to them. And I tend to play things off like it's not a big deal. It's not okay. Well, they responded like that. But what did I do first? Or how did I respond to something that they didn't see as a big deal? And so, here are some keys to having good relationships. And one of them is important. It's very important. Forsaking all others. You put your exes behind. You put the old things behind. And you don't even look back. I never realized, even though I didn't want to go back to those relationships, I didn't fully forsake them. I would look and see how their life's going and see what's going on. And even though some of that, much of that was innocent, most of it was innocent. It caused pain because it caused the one who I was with to believe that they weren't number one, that they weren't top priority. See, you've got to forsake all others. You've got to put them in second place, third place, last place. People, when you're in a relationship, that person is the most important thing in your life. And yeah, they shouldn't ask you to give up your life, but the reality is they have to be number one. If they're not everything, maybe they're not anything. You have to put them first. Another important thing to do is be honest. When I made a mistake, I had an opportunity to fess up to it. And in my heart, I was like, I need to tell my woman what I did. I need to tell my woman, hey, I made this mistake. I did this. And I never did. I had 3 months to say, you know what? I messed up. I in my heart chose another person because I was hurting, because I was wounded, because there are lots of reasons, there are lots of excuses, but it's inexcusable. And I should have apologized before it was discovered. 3 months later, or 3.5 months later. And I didn't. I didn't come to her and say, you know what? I did this. I am not justified. I'm not right in this mistake. It's not okay. In my heart, I kept on hearing, just tell her. Just tell her. And when it all falls apart because she discovers it rather than being honest about the truth of it, it's not her fault, it's your fault. It's my fault. It's not his fault, it's your fault. No matter which side it came from. Another important thing to do in a relationship, natural affection. I'm not talking sexual. I'm not talking to get anything. Hold her hands. Hug her. Kiss her. Kiss her on the cheek. Kiss her on the forehead. Tell her you're grateful for her. The truth is, they don't always hear it. Oftentimes they don't hear it. You try to reflect that. But eventually you'll get through. Be consistent. You tell her every day. Yep, every day. Um, Honesty goes with spend time talking. Just it doesn't have to be about bad things or good things. It can be just about life. Just spend time talking and things will come up. Don't have artificial conversation where you're trying to force up certain things that aren't coming into the conversation. Now there are times to just come out and say, you know what, this is an issue. There are problems. But the reality is, as you talk, most of the time, things will come up. It becomes more fluid. You become more joined together with that person. Just talk. Spend 10 minutes talking. 5 minutes talking. Just do it. Another thing, spend time. No talking. Just spend time. You could be on the couch cuddling, which goes with being affectionate. Just spending time with that person, just next to that person. You could go out hiking and just spend time with them. You don't have to say anything. You don't feel like you're forced to constantly have conversation. But sometimes you need to have a conversation. And the reality is, one of my biggest mistakes is that I don't always like small talk or just being there and not saying anything. So many times it's artificial conversation. Another important thing, don't compare your companion with another person. This is one of mine that I'm terrible at. And even though when I compared, it was usually, I love the way you look compared to them. I love your body. I love you. I love to touch you. I love to hold you. I love to kiss you. But she believes there's a standard that isn't there, that you're not putting up. But you create that appearance. Or maybe you do have a standard that's just not right. And she doesn't feel like she can keep that standard. She doesn't feel like she can fit up to that level. So just don't compare. Just don't criticize other women in front of her, because she's going to feel like you're critical of her. Even if you're not being. Even if you're saying, wow, I love the way you look. If you're comparing other people to her, even if you're complimenting her, she's not going to see it as a compliment 90% of the time. She's going to see it as a comparison, as she has to hold a standard that she can't. So freaking quit making those standards. Another thing, support her interests. If there's something that she's passionate about, even if it's something that isn't going to get her ahead in life, support her interests. Be interested and try to help her in those things. You don't have to be passionate about all the same things. And there are things that it's good to have separate hobbies. It's good to be able to do your own thing. It's good for her to be able to do her own thing. That's healthy. You get to view each other apart to appreciate each other much more. But support her in the things that she's passionate about. And for some things, be passionate about them. If it's good for you, if it's something that you can do as a couple, there are times for that. There are times to enjoy it because it's something that she enjoys. It's something that she's passionate about. It's something that she loves. And so fall in love with her. Love that thing because you get to spend time with her. Another thing, going back to the point, don't comment on her weight. Good or bad. Just say that you love the way she looks. Compliment her. Tell her how lovely she is. Because the truth is that she wants to feel beautiful. She wants you to tell her that she's beautiful. And she's not going to always want to hear it. Something I struggle with because I'll give compliments. And then not long after, she'll say, "But you never compliment me." They don't always hear it. Sometimes they disregard it. Sometimes they don't believe that you believe it. But believe it. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've met a lot of beautiful people. And the truth is, the more acquainted, the closer I got to my last woman, the more I found her beautiful. And when we had struggles, there were moments where I was like, well, she's not perfect. But the truth was, it wasn't anything to do with how beautiful she was. It was the fact that I was torn. It was the fact that I was struggling. It was the fact that my perspective got skewed by life. And I allowed that. I allowed myself to become hard. And so I allowed myself to be convinced that she wasn't the most beautiful woman in the world. Even though she was. Even though she is. She's incredible. But the truth is, don't comment on her weight. Don't tell her, well, you should lose 5 pounds. Or you should gain 5 pounds. Or it's not about the weight. It's about perspective. Now this last one, most people may not understand. But for my last woman, she wanted me to play her music. And I struggled with that because music often takes me to a dark place. When I genuinely sing, I think only musicians and artists will really understand this. When I'm really passionate about singing, when I really get into it, when I really do something I'm proud of, it's usually takes me to a dark place. Deep, 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 deep down in my soul where I have to confront issues that I've been unwilling to confront. And there was light in that, but there's also pain in that. And so, for my woman, she needed to hear me sing. She needed to hear me be willing to make her a song. Not even write her a song, just be goofy with her. Play the guitar for her. She loves music. She's passionate about music. And I wasn't willing to do it because I was afraid of where it would take me. But the reality is that being vulnerable is one of the scariest, most amazing, most beneficial things that you can do in a relationship. And I kind of suck at it. So, be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to give in to some of those fears, to say, you know what? This is the scariest thing in the world, and just lay it out there. Be like, this is a struggle for me. This hurts me. What do you think of this? Yeah, maybe the person will reject you. You know, maybe, just maybe, it will free you. The truth will set you free if you're willing to embrace it. If you're willing to take it in, if you're willing to listen into your heart and hear the truth and let it out there, you can be free. There's no reason to sit in your bedroom and be depressed. We all have days, we all have moments. Today I literally just sat around the house just watching Netflix and writing and playing a little music and just feeling sad. Because I needed a day just to get it out, just to release, to be free from it. Just one day, I give myself one day. And then I remind myself that, hey, I have to get back to life. I can't live in that. I can't make the choice to be depressed because I'm free from depression. I'm free from sorrow. Yeah, it's going to hurt. There are days that are going to suck. There are going to be days that I cry, that I bawl my eyes out. But you know what? That's part of dealing with loss. And that loss came as a big part of my choices. I made a choice and I wasn't honest about it. I didn't tell the truth. The truth didn't have an opportunity to set me free. Instead, I covered it up and I hid it. And I pretended like it didn't happen. And 3 months later, 3.5 months later, it was discovered. You know what happened? What I was afraid would happen. And if I would have just admitted and just said, hey, I made a choice. And I know this is going to hurt you. But I did something stupid. Get it out. Be free. Quit fighting with your heart. And just be honest. And maybe the best will come of it. Maybe for a moment it'll suck. But the truth will set you free. And let it set you free.